the Ron square it can be referred to as the 21st square, although it's not really part of the 20 squares of this 2752 squares, but it's in the same format, so it is connected, but a few different features are with it. It's the same pattern, meaning it's a 5x5 grid, and it represents 35 days. That's the same. However, it doesn't go from a Wednesday to a Thursday. It doesn't start on a Wednesday. It starts on a Monday and ends on a Friday. And the two invisible days are the weekends. It's like we call it Shabbos and Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday. Shabbos and Yom Rishon. And this has a very interesting story behind it. And I call it the Ron square, and in parentheses it's the 21st square, because this is the connection to the Moroccan Sephardic Kabbalistic constituent in this whole universe, this whole massive ontology, if you will. Now, where something comes from is very important to connect it to the energy, the flavor, the character, the personality. And in the same way that I received numbers from somebody for the 2752 squares, I received it from somebody, which means I would say, hey, so-and-so, what's the number for today? And they would that person would just, off the top of their head, go 345. And okay, that's what it is. I write it down. There it is. And the next day comes, and they go, hey, so-and-so, what's the number for today? And he goes, 72. Off the top of his head. Why would he say 72 and not 59? Okay, the next day comes, so-and-so, what's the number for today? He goes, 91. Okay, and so forth. And I am just so fascinated by the concept of what you would call a random number. Let's just say I'm asking you to guess, just to make up a number in your head right now, and you pick a number. Either you're going to be in your mind, remembering the last number you saw. Let's just say you came from the cleaners and you looked at your bill, the cleaner bill, and the order number was 79, let's say. And so I asked you asked me whatever I asked you to pick up a number, and you just remember that thing. That's one thing, which is also interesting, but also the concept of I wasn't clear your mind of everything, and just at the cue, think of a number, or just allow your mind to be open to a number. And a number comes. Let's just say it's 21, or 7, or 80, or 295, or whatever. That's fascinating to me. And I'm in pursuit, or my focus is directed, my attention is directed to the source of this number. Where does it come from when you allow your mind to use a Kabbalistic term, halal hapanui, the open space. The open space, and now all of a sudden I say 248. Or I say 348. Or I say 87. Or I say 10. Or I say 5. Or I say 74. Why? Why would I say these numbers as opposed to one before or one after it? Each number is a specific point in consciousness, in thought, in reality. And each number has hundreds and hundreds of gematriatic correlations, gematriatic points that can be attached to that number, because if every letter and word has a numerical value, then every number can be a letter or a word. Every number can be a word. If I said 348, that would have special significance, because the word Yom Revi'i in Hebrew means the fourth day of the week, which is Wednesday, and today is Wednesday. It is today, actually Wednesday. So when I see number 348 on Wednesday, there's a special connection. You have to know that Yom Revi'i equals 348 to make that connection. But what if you knew 100 different words that equal 348? 100, that's a huge amount. I would say even if you knew just 10 or 20 words for a majority of the numbers, you would be likely to have a heightened perception of reality when you saw numbers on a daily basis. So when someone clears their mind and then says, okay, and then is asked, what number do you say? And then they say 345, or then they say 72, or 91, or 79, or 21. That's very interesting. I'm fascinated by it. And that's how I operated both on the 752 squares, the 20 of them that lasted for about 18 months, and then overall, the whole thing is about 6 years. 2019 to 2025. Yeah, 6 years. The end of 2019, that is. To the end of 2025. And so, a few things come to mind when I think of 6 years. I think of 6 years you work on your field, and the seventh is a sabbatical. Seventh, you allow it to rest. And 6 years I've been working here, and the seventh you go free. 6 years the Eved Ivri works, the Hebrew slave, and the seventh he goes free. And we can take it to a more macrocosmic level, to the agent of the world. Let's say in the Jewish idea, Talmud mentions this, that 6,000 years parallel that same model, and then the seventh is rest. 6 days, and then seventh, and then that's the universal constant for gravitational. I think it's 6.7 or whatever, or 0.67 is the formula for gravitational constant. So that's what the 752 square really is. One of the meanings is that it's 7, and 7, which is the combination of 5 and 2. It's like 5 days of the work week in the secular world. Now, Israel doesn't recognize 5-day work week. They recognize a 6-day work week. However, 5 and 2, it's very important to this idea of the weekend in Chutz La'aretz is 2, and it can be 1, but it's 2 days. But you call it the weekend. It's like one thing. The weekend. How was your weekend? You're referring to Saturday and Sunday. That's meaningful. And that's one of the meanings of the 752 squares, but 752 also has many, many meanings in Torah. Too many to go over now. But just one that will come to mind is that in the Bryce, I think it's a Gemara. It's a Liba de Gemara. It's in Tractate Yoma, where Abaya is. He's reciting the order of the different services, the daily services in the temple, according to Aliba de Abba Shaul. He says that first they would clean the five lamps of the menorah, the 5 things. They would clean it. and then they would do the daily blood, and then they would do the next two. That's what it says there. And so there you have a combination of 7, which is a combination of 5 and 2, as opposed to 6 and 1, as opposed to 3 and 4. So there's a special connection, and many, many more examples. I just picked one, but there's another connection that's specifically related to Chabad that I might as well say it now anyway. There are 7 Admorim of Chabad and 7 Rebbes, 7 leaders of the Chabad movement, Rebbeim they call them, rabbis of Chabad, starting with the first, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, who we're celebrating his release from prison yesterday and today, 19th and 20th of Kislev, hence the making of this video and these raw and square. That's my connection here. But I don't want to lose the Moroccan connection. It took a lot of time. That's what these things have so many ramifications that you can lose. You can go off on a tangent, you can go off forever on something. But anyway, the Chabad, there's 5 Chabad Rebbes. This is my age-old question. If you're a Chabadnik out there and you know the answer to this, please, I'd love to hear your answer on this. There's 7 of them have either pictures or portraits of them. In fact, you have different artistic depictions. I've seen one where it's a famous one where the 5 of them are walking in this a street. I think it's 5 of them. You don't see all 7 of them. You only see the 5 walking. Why only 5? You see the Alter Rebbe, Tzemach Tzedek. You see the Rav Shalom Ber, I think, is there. He's then the Frierdiker Rebbe is there, right? And then the Lubavitch Rebbe. There's 5 of them. Rav Shalom Ber is not the Tzemach Tzedek. I forgot his name is Rav Shalom Ber, I think. Rav Shalom Ber. What is it? Did he have a name? He was the ones who are not there is the Mittler Rebbe and the Marash. The Marash. The Marash was not there. I don't remember his name. And the Mittler Rebbe is not there. And not only is he not there, but they don't have pictures of him at all. And some say, yeah, he has a vague picture. The Marash has a vague picture. But the Mittler Rebbe, nobody knows what he looks like. But if you would talk to the Lubavitcher person, or even many people who know these pictures, you say, what does the Baal Tanya look like? I mean, I don't know if they exactly look like that, but they know what the picture looks like. It's very, very obvious. This is a famous picture. The Baal Tanya, that saintly looking, it's. I'm seeing it right now. I can see it right now. I'm looking at it. I mean, not a picture, but in my mind. I mean, even the Frierdiker Rebbe, I'm seeing his face right now. What about Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, known as the Lubavitch Rebbe, the 7th Lubavitch Rebbe? I mean, who has a more famous face than him? Right? I mean, his picture is everywhere, and in the streets of Jerusalem here, I mean, it's common to see it. Beis Mashiach, I mean, that yellow, I mean, it's iconic. It's totally iconic. However, in the 7 Chabad Rebbes, there are 2 that are mysteriously not there. You don't have pictures of them. They're not in that the famous picture where they're walking on the street, and Rebbetzin, the Chana is out the window, and there's another woman in the side. It's a painting, but it's like the 5 Rebbes are walking, but there's 2 Rebbes not there. So this goes to the idea of the 7 and the 2 are not there. I'll just say the 7 and the 2 have fallen down. I think that's how it goes. That's a very arcane statement. I'll leave it at that. If you got the reference, you got the reference. But I'm not saying, God forbid, that these 2 Rebbes fell down. I'm just saying that there's 2 not there. So this is the correlation of the 752 square. That's the main question that I always say in videos that I'm going to say this one time, and now is what I said in the Ron square. But I've said enough about that. But I want to just share something that I have had this year the privilege to do these two books here. And this, I'm taking it back to the Moroccan Kabbalistic constituent, and I spoke to you about it. See these two books? They say Chidushei Torah. Chidushei Torah. They're notebooks. I got them in Jerusalem, on Rehov Yafo. And they're books that I use to write my gematrias in, original gematrias. That many people think that gematria is just some simple numerology game where you write a number and you just get the number and that's it, and you match it with something else and it's cute and that's really neat that it matches. And they think there's only one way of doing it. There's like Aleph through Yud and then Yud. No, there are at least 18 ciphers that I can think of. If you really get deep into gematria, there is the regular gematria, Mispar Seder, ordinal number. There's Mispar Katan, which is a small number, only 1 through 9, only single digits. There is Mispar, there's Albam, which is paralleling Aleph to Lamed, Adbash, Albam, and then there's Achbi. There's more arcane, more with less. I think in the Ralah, there's 231 different ciphers. I think if you're dealing with the Shorashim, it's just endless the amount of connections that you can make. So I bought